Hey guys, Heather here from She Said Candle Co. I'm super excited to be back. I've taken a little bit of a break. I have been making some shorts though, so if you get the chance, check those out. Short information, hence the word short, but very helpful tips. So at least I have that going for me. In today's video, we are going to talk about my first market and my first candle party. So in the last couple weeks, I've done a market where I actually paid $125 to set up a booth and set up shop for a couple days, and then the following week I did a candle party. It was like a 2.5 hour thing at a local bar, and I am going to share my experience with you on both of those things today, from the setup to the teardown to how much I made, and just the experience overall. So if that's something that interests you, continue to watch. All right, so let's get right into it. First, I'm going to talk about the candle, the show, the actual, the market. So it's called the Made Market. It's a big craft show in the Quad Cities. My very first one. I just opened my candle business January of 2023, so I'm quite new. And I wanted to do a market, and it was spring, and the weather was cold, and I didn't really have a ton going on. So I was excited for this opportunity, and it was so big. There were 150 vendors. A ton of different demographics, like we're talking woodworking to candle making to meat to smoking meat to jewelry to clothing to boutiques that pulled up in like trailers. It was crazy. There were so many people there. They had a concession stand, they had a band, they had a kids area. It was really quite cool. Spectators, or I guess people who were buying, shoppers, had to pay $7 to get in, and then us vendors were allowed to give out a couple passes for our friends and family to come in for free. So overall, the experience was awesome. I definitely learned a lot, and we'll talk about that today. So I prepared for this market, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like there's so many people, like there's 150 vendors, this is going to be huge, there's going to be a ton of people, I need so many candles. Well, what I didn't take into consideration, there was also like 4 other candle vendors there as well. Now, we did not have the same look or the same vibe. All that being said, there were still like 3 or 4, I don't know if it was 4, it was maybe 3 or 4 other people who had candles. So the candle market was definitely present at this particular market. So regardless of that, the preparation, I was like, I had no idea how many candles to bring, how many candles to make, how many of each scent. And I have all these candle groups on Facebook that I'm a part of. And so I kind of relied on them for some information. But even there, it's still ambiguous. It's like none of them really knew initially how much to bring. So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna wing it, and the best thing that could happen is I'll sell out. So what I did, and I'm gonna refer to my notes here, is I had 5 different scents that I brought. I have in my collections, I have big white matte jars that are 12 ounces. I have clear jars that are 10 ounces, and then I have tins that are 6 ounces, in addition to wax crumbles and wax melts. So I brought a variety of those in different scents. So I brought 25 big jars, 5 in each one, 25 medium, the same, 50 tins, 10 in each one, and then I brought 20 wax crumbles and 20 melts. Now the crumbles I have different scents for, simply because all the samples that I buy that I end up not using for my candles, I make those into crumbles and melts because they're a lot easier to test than actual candles. You don't have to get a wick size, you don't have to burn for hours and do multiple tests on, which I do for my regular candles, and there's scents that actually didn't pass for regular candles, so I wanted to use up those sample jars. So I just made a variety of different crumbles and melts in those. So I ended up taking about 135 candles and melts and crumbles all together. So it was a lot, you know, for me, considering I'm just starting out. Probably not so many for some other people, but overall, it was quite a task carrying everything in and out. So I was smart. I brought a little dolly. I packed up my car, brought everything to the event, unpacked, loaded up. We had a certain time where we could drop things off and set things up. I brought 3 tables, 2 6-foot tables, and a short little table, the one that I actually pour my candles on, and that was for like my iPad for charging people. And then I also let people pick their own label. for the candles in certain situations. So I'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, so I had 3 tables, and then I just had some displays. I'll flash what my vendor booth looked like on the screen here in a little bit. But yeah, and I had compliments on it. So I had a few people come up to me and say, hey, would you be willing to do, or would you be interested in doing an event? Your setup is awesome. We would love to have you there. So I made some connections, which was really cool, and I have their information for future shows. Apparently this show thing, there's a hot market. Sometimes these shows are so popular that you don't get into all of them, which is crazy to me, right? And so there's like an application process. But because they liked my booth, they're going to put me to the top of the list if it's a date that I can actually fit into my schedule. My kid does travel sports, so it's sometimes challenging on the weekends to fit these things in. So anyway, the setup took me probably about 2.5 hours. Like I said, it was my first time, so I had my fancy tablecloths, I had a big sign, had to get everything just right, and then I had to play in my head how I was actually going to help people get candle labels on their jars if they chose to label a candle themselves, right? And then check out, were they going to do Venmo? Were they going to do this Cash App thing that I had? So I had all that set up prior. I had an iPad, I had my computer, and I had my phone. I'm like, if anything fails, like I have all these backups, and yeah, the only thing that wasn't great was the Wi-Fi, so that was a little bit challenging, but I was still able to make charges. So all in all, it was fine. So the setup was great. We set up on Friday night, and the setup was from like, I don't know, I got there around 2. The party started at like 5, so it was 5 to 8 the first night, and then 9 to 3 the next day. So the first night, I think I actually sold the most. 5 to 8 p.m. I sold the most. And then the next day, when I sat there from 9 to 3, I sold the least. So, excuse me, all in all, I made $361 at that vendor event. So that was 3 hours on the first night, 5 to 8, and then let's see, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 6 hours the next day. So a total of 9 hours, I made $361. So that's not that great when you consider all the time that goes into it. However, I did have up a huge sign that said free candle drawing. That's one of my lead captures, is a free candle drawing. I do one every single month to capture people's emails. So they give me their email address, I put them in a drawing every month on my social media. I put everybody into this wheel of names, and I poke it, and then it spins, and then somebody gets a free candle. So it really is cool. And then on that email list, I just started a newsletter. So I'm going to start newslettering people, and then anybody who's on the list is going to get a coupon for a discount for that month. So there's a reason why people should sign up if they're interested in candles, is because they're going to get something from it. So yeah, I got a ton of people on my email list, and I got a ton more followers on my Instagram page. So the brand awareness was really, excuse me, I'm choking. The brand awareness was really a big part of why I did this too. Wasn't just for the sales, but I'm not going to lie. Honestly, I thought I would sell out. I told my husband, I'm like, I'm going to make $1,000. Like, I'm going to sell out. This is going to be amazing. Hopefully I sell out like halfway through Saturday, and then I just sit there, or I get, and have people scan the free code, and I get to walk around and visit some other people. But that wasn't the case. Saturday afternoon, when it was time to tear down, I ended up tearing down a lot more than I wanted to, and also bringing home a lot more candles than I wanted to. So, it was okay. It was Easter weekend. There's definitely some Easter egg hunts going on elsewhere on Saturday, so maybe it wasn't the best time to have the market. I don't really know, but being my first experience, I was hoping to make a little bit more money. Now, people who saw my booth were like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So I'm not bragging, and I'm not constructive criticism is something I'm totally willing to accept. I come from the business world, so you can't get better without feedback. But I think I did a pretty good job, and all in all, I don't think I would have changed anything. And I don't think I missed anything. Like, all my electronics worked properly. I had a lead capture. I had everything available that people wanted. I was able to answer questions. So I think that I did that part okay. I just don't know I was walking by, or the people walking by, I could see some other candle people's bags or stuff in their bags. So they know they were buying candles, and some people bought from me and bought from those other people. So all in all, a little competition is great. It keeps you on your toes, but I was hoping to make a little bit more money. Let's talk about the party. So the party was at this bar called Blue Suede. It's about 5 minutes from my house. And in order to prepare for the party, which was a week later, in my head, I'm like, well, if I sell out at the vendor event, I'm not going to have time or I'm not going to have any product left over. So I'm going to have to work my butt off to make some supplies for the actual candle party the next week. But I had so much product left over that I didn't have to worry about that. So basically I just left everything packed up, and then when the miscellaneous orders I got that week, just pulled it out of the boxes and I took it all to the candle party. And I'm going to tell you, the candle party was amazing. So the candle party was from 6 to 8:30. I made $743 in 2.5 hours, and it was a madhouse. I didn't even have time to breathe. I used the same format. It's a little challenging. I didn't bring in any of my tables. This bar is so cool. It's like retro, high class, like Elvis Presley bar. It was awesome, and I just set my candles out all over the tables, and I put little signs up for people to scan to draw for the email list and the free candle. I did 3 drawings that night, one for a tin, one for a clear jar, one for a white jar, and I was busy the whole night. People were picking out labels. I had all of my labels in a book, and then I had some candles pre-labeled, just like at the craft show. So people could either pick the pre-labeled ones, or they could match a scent excuse me, with the label they found in the book. I think people like that. It's a little bit harder for me because I want to make sure I get the label on straight, and kind of a lot of people at that party needed me at the same time, so I left people waiting. However, they were also having drinks. So the bar owner had some specials that night. It was advertised on Facebook, and I'm here to tell you, like, the ladies had a couple cocktails. People bought a shit ton of candles. I mean, it was amazing. I left there tired but happy, and I would totally do that again. And yeah, so I made $743 that night. It was $272 on Venmo, $152.50 in my app, and then what was this, like $277 in cash. So yeah, that adds up, I think. $743. I mean, it was insane. It was like a candle selling tornado. It was awesome. So yeah, I definitely learned a lot. I need to do another tester. Like, obviously, if you have those parties all the time, they're not going to be so popular. Craft show, I think I'm going to do another one in December. I don't know how often I will do those. I mean, it was a lot of work to set up and tear down that stuff. And then, you know, I did miss a kid basketball game, so I kind of have to plan those around my kids' sports. Same as a candle party, but 2.5 hours is a lot easier to plan around than a weekend full of sporting events. So, you know, I'll kind of weigh it, but I know I'll sign up for another craft show in December. And if another candle party opportunity comes, I think December or like Thanksgiving time, preparing for Christmas, would be a great time to have another one. So I'll probably touch base with the bar owner there. She was amazing. She was hilarious. I'd never met her before. And this neighbor of mine actually is the one that set this party up because she wanted to promote my business. So that was super sweet, and she's awesome too. So yeah, that is my experience on both of those. So obviously now I'm leaning towards these candle parties, but I do like the vendor fair too, for the social media aspect and kind of networking and getting my name out there. So there's pros and cons to each. And I hope that you learned something from this video. And if you have any questions or you want to talk to me about my experience more, I'm more than happy to answer any. So you can either send me an email at shesaidcandleco@gmail.com. You can comment in the comments below on this video, and I'm more than happy to help. So take care. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. It helps my channel. I am talking to a whopping 29 people right now, but I started at 0, so that's very exciting. Have a great week, everybody.